I hope the recording has started if someone can confirm. Yeah, you can go on, Pankhuli.
Okay, so my name is Pankhali Saxena. I'm a fourth year undergraduate student of the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences enrolled in its integrated MSc course of Economics. I'm a boarder of Sarojini Naidu Indira Gandhi Hall of Presidents, and I'm also the hall president of that hall as of now. So, without further ado, I think we can begin with the questions. So, Vanshika, if you could move to the next slide.
Okay, this is question one.
Uh, Yeah, okay. So, if you want, I can just, I think it's on additional selective red courses, minors, and micro specialization. So, uh, Rajesh, I think this. Okay, so I think yeah, so I'll just share my screen because I think it's easier just to show it all through ERP. So, okay, so I have logged into my ERP. So first, I'll just cover what are breadth, elective, and additional courses. So unfortunately, since the new curriculum is being updated, the information of curriculum is not readily available. So I'll just use my own curriculum details, which will be somewhat different from what would be available to you all. But since none of us knows what is there, so we'll just stick to the old curriculum. So these are the first year subjects. From third semester onwards, you'll see these courses which are titled depth. So depth courses are the compulsory courses that you had to do in any case. There is no other way to opt out of them. Other than that, you would see this empty row that is has HSS. Similarly, you would see this row that has IT. And if you I move on further. Yeah, this is this row that is titled IEM. So these are the three kinds of breadth that are available to us. So what are breadth courses? Breadth courses are basically courses that we have to take from other departments, and they are basically on three broad fields. So HSS is humanities courses, IT can also be written as science professional or IT in your curriculum depending on your department, and the third is IEM, which is management or entrepreneurship courses. So if I move on to subjects and breadth list for current semester, I'll use the breadth list for the previous semester because for current semester it's still in the process of being updated. So here you can see that under this column of management there are certain subjects. So if you have management breadth or IEM breadth, you can opt for any of these subjects depending on free slots. So what are slots and how they are seen is what we'll do next. Another category is HSS breadth. So in HSS breadth, you have a lot of humanities and social sciences subject. For example, general psychology, environmental humanities, science and humanism. You even have languages such as German and Sanskrit. I think French used to be offered a couple of years back, so I don't see it in this list, but it might also be offered in the future. Uh, Another thing to keep in mind, especially for HSS students, is when you have an HSS breadth, you cannot take economics courses as your HSS breadth. For example, here you have economics of sustainable development. This is not available. This should not be taken by HSS students as a breadth. The reason being, some of these courses would be coming up in your elective courses, and if you do take these courses, then you might have a problem in future. The other reason being, some of these courses have overlap with the existing courses that you will have to take, and as such, it might create a problem. So it's recommended that you stick to non economic subjects if you are from HSS. For others, you can just pick up any course you feel like. Then there is this breadth. So this is a very large list of various departments that you can take if you have IT, science, professional breadth. And special, this is the only kind of breadth if suppose you don't see a subject you want to take in this breadth list, by the approval of a faculty advisor, it is possible to add this other subjects to this particular breadth list for IT, science, or professional breadths. Um, so generally what used to happen was, before this curriculum revamp, before the corona pandemic, the choice for filling the breadth would be would open around mid-May for breadths in autumn semester, and I think early to mid-December for breadths in spring semester. And then if you go to UG student academic activities, uh, you see this 1.1 section exercising choices of breadth. So for now it's empty, but once the breadth list has been updated, and if you have a breadth in the upcoming semester, you'll see a option to fill your breadth choices in that. And breadth choices are, I am not completely sure how they're given, but it's a mixture of your CGPA and some first come first serve basis, I guess. And how do people choose breadths is actually quite dependent on you. So the two major reasons one chooses a particular breadth is, first, grades. So depending on your interest or background, some subjects would be easier for you to score as compared to other subjects. So you might try to opt for some subject that is easier to score in. Okay, for easier to score in, there is this website kronos.metakgp.org. I think version 2 of this is currently under construction, so do keep a check on MetaKGP Facebook page to see when the version 2 is uploaded. So in Kronos, you can just type in any subject code. For example, I'll just have this course, Stochastic Process and Finance. And then you can see the previous grade distribution. So this is not maintained by IIT KGP, it is just a student run page, but it's helpful on deciding what course distribution is like. But unfortunately, this page has not been updated in the last couple of years. So the information available is not very recent. However, when you have the choice for filling breadths, at least earlier you should be able to see the grade distribution the last time the course was run. So one of the ways is to choose the breadth based on your based on grades. The second is to choose a breadth based on your interest. For example, in my third semester, I had this HSS breadth, and I personally went with this general psychology because at that time I just wanted to see what psychology is about, and since I was interested in that subject, it worked out for me. Other than that, so since I have covered choosing breadth, yeah, so for choosing breadth you saw some slots, so I'll come to what slots are. So here in the timetable, I'll just open this central timetable, which you can see. So when you all had a timetable, I'll just also open this first year timetable for comparison. So yeah, during your first year, you receive a very nice timetable that basically has all your courses listed in this way. Unfortunately, from second year onwards, figuring out timetable is not that simple, and you basically figure out your slots from this table, which looks very complicated at first, but it's fine once you have figured it out. So again, I'll just open this breadth page. So yeah, so here for again you see, say this is the course Financing New Ventures, and you see the breadth is B3. What the number 3 means is that the slot is for a 3 credit course. A 3 credit course in case of theory courses is generally runs for 3 hours a week. If you see this timetable, you can see this B3 1, B3 bracket 1, and for Tuesday you can see B3 bracket 2 and 3. So this means that the first hour of the week for a course running in slot B3 would be on Monday from 11 to 12 and would be on Tuesday from 8 to 10. And this makes up 3 hours, so it's a slot B3. So B2, A2, these are written, but I don't think there are many 2 credit courses. There are some 2 credit courses, but not a lot of them. Similarly, you can just close this up. Similarly, you can see that here for information and communication technology and education, the slot is listed as F4. You can trace out the slot F4 this way. So you can see F1 is here from on Wednesday 10 to 11. Thursday you can see F4 is here from 9 to 10, and on Friday it's a 2 hour slot from 11 to 12. So generally for slots A to F, if you cannot take a course in slots F3 and F4 together, because as you can see 3 of the hours will be clashing, so you cannot take the subjects. So for slots A to F, as long as the letter, that is A, B or C, that thing is matching, you cannot take overlapping slots. For slots H, U and V and X, these happen in afternoons and they can sometimes clash with your lab slots J, L, K, X and B. So for figuring out the clashes in these, it's a bit trickier, but fortunately not many classes run in afternoons. Usually the format that used to be followed for second year, at least from what I saw, is most of the theory classes are in the first half, and most of the lab classes, actually all lab classes, will be in the second half from this second year onwards. Other than that, in departments where you don't have lab courses, or in some small departments, it is also possible that you would be having theory classes in the afternoon. Okay, so for a sample example, I'll on how to see this timetable, I'll just open this segment of subject list with timetable slots, so you can actually I'll just explain electives once, and then I think electives and additionals first, and then it'll make more sense. So okay, so electives are basically courses that you'll be mostly opting from your own department from a certain given list. So for example, you can see my semester 5, I had this my first elective, and down below you can see the list of electives that was available. So in case of most departments, the elective list that you see is not really the elective list that is of courses that is actually offered. For example, when I was in my 5th semester and had this elective, most of these courses, for example, green economics or theory of industrial organization, they were not offered. So the choice you have in reality is limited to the choice that is less than the choice that you will see in this list of electives. So elective is sort of flexible in that you can choose, but mostly you have to choose courses from a certain list. And you'll notice that I have this AI courses, machine learning foundations and applications, deep learning foundations and applications. So from the last couple of years, these courses have been placed in all elective lists. So it has become somewhat easier to take these courses. Okay, other than that, you will see is this some kind of elective that in the bracket will be written open or flexi. So these are the electives which has basically, there are 2 types, and when a particular type occurs is something only your department seniors would be knowing, because it varies from department to department. But for open electives, there are basically 2 kinds of open electives. The first kind is that you'll see a list like a normal elective. For example, that you can see a list of electives here. And other than that, you'll also see any subject that is required for your minor and micro specialization. That is the first kind of open elective. The second kind of open elective is if you have a CG greater than 8, then you can take any course from any department or center in KGP as long as your slot is free. That is the second kind of open elective. So they are not marked differently. So it's hard to find which elective functions as which. But majorly there are these two kinds of electives. Then we come to these additional courses. So additional courses are basically something that you take beyond your curriculum. Okay, I'll just have to open this again. For example, in my semester 3, I had these courses which would be different from what you all people who are in HSS will be having in the third semester. But I had these certain courses. Now, if I wanted to take any courses that is beyond those courses and fits in my timetable. For example, in my third semester, I took this course, Design Analysis of Algorithms from Mathematics Department. So the slot was free, but it's not actually anywhere in my curriculum. Then that course would be referred to as additionals. So for taking an additional, the prerequisite is that you need to have a CG that is equal to or greater than 7.5. If you have a CG lower than that, then it is not possible to take an additional, and it is not recommended to take an additional, and instead you should focus on increasing your CG. Other than that, some of the subjects that you might be wanting to take as additional become very competitive because a lot of people are opting for them. So this criteria for approval, because when you have an additional subject, so since subjects registration has not opened as of now and it will open in August 2. So once the subject registration is over and you are filling the choices for electives, you first have to send a request for approving that subject to the faculty who is taking that subject. Once that happens, the faculty can approve or reject your request on their own discretion. So when the number of requests is greater than the number of slots available, basically there are two strategies that professors follow, or a mixture of these strategies. The first is approving based on first come first serve basis. In this case, it is recommended that you pay your fee as soon as possible because you cannot register unless your fee is paid. The second strategy is choosing on the basis of your CGPA. So the highest cutoff that at least I have personally seen is 9.1. That was for machine learning course in spring 2020. This timetable that I showed you is very helpful when you have to choose additional subjects. So how to go about choosing additional subjects, or at least how I go about choosing these additional subjects, is that I'll open a lot of tabs. So the first tab I would open is my curricula. So I need to see what subjects I would be taking. So let's just, I'll do this how I did last semester. So I'll open my 8th semester. So this was my subject course, and then I'll open the segment subject list with timetable slots. And since my department is humanities and social sciences, I'll just open, oh sorry, I did this, I'll just change this semester to spring. And yeah, so then you can see that for every subject it's like written who is the faculty teaching, what are the credits, and what is the slot. So the room is also given, but since the classes are online, the room column is meaningless. And I don't think you'll all understand how the room system works, because that's also something see, but yeah, so here you can see in my 8th semester I had this course on international trade. So I'll just scroll through my list and see where I see this international trade. It's in slot B4. So now I know I cannot take any course in slot B4. I repeat this all for banking theory, economic modeling, and all the courses I have. So I can see that I don't have B4. I don't have, I think, E4. Yeah, so there were certain slots. I think this is economic modeling. I can see I don't have G3 available, and banking theory I don't have E4 available. Similarly, there are certain courses that certain slots that won't be available to me because I have my depth subjects. Then comes this section for electives. So I can see a lot of electives, but so far only 2 electives, basically equity research and energy economics were offered to my batch. So I could scroll down and see which elective I want to take. So I took equity research. So now my C3 slot is free. So I have this list of slots that is now taken. And okay, just I don't know, this bar is coming. Okay, so now I want to take a course from, say, mathematics department, because I did take a course. So from mathematics department, sorry, keep doing this mistake. Yeah. So from mathematics department, since I am doing a minor in mathematics, I had to take a lab, and I chose to take this operation research lab. So I saw that this lab is running in slot X, and I did not have, so I saw the slot X and I saw that I did not have any conflicts, so I could take this course. Now suppose I wanted to take a course from, say, this, let's go to AI Center. Uh, Okay, sorry. This is for autumn semester, so for spring semester. Let's go. Yeah, so here you can see that there are certain, let's say, there are certain subjects. So suppose I wanted to take artificial intelligence foundations and applications, that was in slot U. Okay, so in slot U, if I already have a subject, I could not take it. But if I don't have any subject in slot U, then so I had this lab in lab slot L. So since L clashes with 2 hours of U, I cannot take any subject in slot U. And suppose I want to take this course, Deep Learning Foundations and Applications. Then this is in slot F. I did not have any course in slot F, so I could take this course. And so you can do this basically for any department. Suppose for spring, you want to take a course from CSE, and then you can just see. So yeah, for CSE, I'll just mention, if you want to do a minor in CSE, Algorithms 1 will not be approved in autumn semester for non-CSE students. Anyone who wants to take Algorithms 1 usually takes in spring semester, and regardless of what is written on the minor, I'll come to minor later. So the spring semester Algorithms 1 is completely fine, and it usually has a high CG criteria ranging, I guess it ranges around 8.7, might become higher since there is a lot of CG inflation on a batch. But yeah, that's usually in spring semester for non-CSE students. So suppose you want to take, say, hardware security, deep learning, or machine learning, then you can see the corresponding slot, and you can see if that slot is free. So this is basically how you see a slot for additional courses. I think the next thing to cover we have to cover is minor and micro specializations.
Pankhuri, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Since you have explained this far, I think we can be open to a few follow-up questions now, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
So yeah, Srijan, I'll be. Um, somebody had raised their hand.
Yeah.
Please.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanted to ask about this. Like electives are only they can be only taken from the HSS department, management department, and the IT department. So like, what if we want to study some other subjects from other engineering disciplines? If like electronics or any other discipline, so what to do for that? And also like yeah, I have one more question, like for these minor courses, if you want to do minor, suppose in electronics and electrical communications, so like can we take some courses in our second year first semester only?
Okay, so
Third
for
semester.
minor and micro specialization, I'll come to this later. As for the electives you mentioned, the thing you mentioned is not elective, it is breadth. And I see a question from Utkarsh in the chat. So if you see your curriculum, at least you can see the old curriculum since your curriculum is not fully available. You will see there a row for HSS. In the row that is labeled HSS, you can only take breadth courses from HSS. In the row title IEM, you can only take management breadth courses, and in IT, science, or whatever the corresponding row is, you can take basically any course from any department. So suppose you want to take a course and that is not available in the list, in certain cases you can get the course approved and then you can ask your faculty advisor to add it to your breadth list or even to the elective list. But for this, it's actually quite up to the faculty advisor. So as far as I know, people from mechanical engineering were facing problems with that in the last spring semester. So that is very variable and it's up to your faculty advisor to approve. But I think for chemical, I did have some friends who did take electives in other departments so that their minor could be over. But other than that, if you want to take a course from other department, your choice would be to take them as additional courses. Is that clear? Okay, I think Rakshit has a question. Okay, so
Rakshit, you can unmute now. Yeah, he had raised his hand.
yeah, I think Mayank also has a question. So if your ERP says breadth elective and it doesn't say HSS, so what courses you can take is, I think it means you can take any courses, but just to be sure, once the subject registration opens on August 2, or I think even before that, if the breadth list is finalized before that, you will just receive a notification and you can see what all subjects will be available for you. So yeah, Rakshit.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah, I wanted to ask, like, for additionals, can we take any course from any department, or
Yes, you can take any course from any department with two caveats. The first being that the course should not clash with your existing courses that you already have to take in that semester. The second being that the course is approved by the faculty who is taking that course. So in certain cases, for example, you want to take algorithms 1, the cutoff CGPA is 8.7 and you have 8.3. Then your course will not be approved and you will not be able to take that course. But this CG criteria is variable. Also, in case you have registered for a minor and it is your open elective, then these courses from other department and count for minor or micro specialization already automatically appear on your elective list in case of open elective. In that case, you don't need an approval. Yes, you can take. Okay. Is it clear, Rakshit?
I have just one more question. Like, if I wanted to take algorithms 2 as additional, but that would probably require a knowledge of algorithms 1. So, will I be able to take algorithm 2? Or
No. For certain courses, there is a prerequisite enforced that unless you have done that prerequisite, you won't even be able to register for that course. In case there are some other courses where the prerequisite is not enforced in a way that you can't take that course, but in those courses it is recommended you don't take that course unless you have prerequisite knowledge, because otherwise you are not going to get a grade, you are not going to learn anything from the subject.
yeah. So,
Okay.
how we will know what are the prerequisites of a course?
So for prerequisite of a course, okay, I'll just share my screen. So most often the prerequisite is stated on the course curriculum page. I think uh, okay, so I remember this particular course had a prerequisite. Mm, I think it was called something like commodity. I opened this for current semester, I guess. Yes. So yeah, I think there was this course of commodity derivatives or something. Yeah, commodity derivatives and price risk modeling. If you just Google, instead of better, it's if I Google the course number. Okay, so hopefully this page opens. Because this curriculum is changing, so actually some pages might not be available, but the point I was trying to make is that sometimes it's listed on the core subject website.
Okay.
Otherwise, in case of certain subjects, it's listed on the website of the professor. So I think
Okay. So that I can like search for it and find it. Okay.
yeah.
Thank you so much.
Um,
Right. Rakshit, if you could lower your hand.
I think there are
I'm assuming nobody has any more questions.
I think there are some questions on the chat, so I'll I think for Priyank, you mentioned that you don't have any curricular this breadth listed. So I know ECE people have a breadth. I think ECE people had this management of professional breadth in their third semester or maybe fifth semester. I'm not sure, but one of these semesters. So since curriculum has changed, and maybe you are just seeing your curriculum for the third semester, so it's not necessary you have a breadth in every semester. For example, in case of HSS, we only have breadths in autumn semester, we don't have any breadth in spring semester. So this is very variable from department to department, and even within the department it might be variable for BTech or dual degree cases in fourth year or fifth year. You'll have to see the full curriculum to know when you have your breadth. So can we apply for more than one additional? Yes, you can apply for more than one additional. So you can apply for additional courses from your third semester onwards. And although you can apply for multiple additionals for the third semester, I recommend do not apply for more than one additional because of two main reasons. First is you don't know how much the academic load your department will take, and I think for third semester it's good to know what your department is about. So I know a lot of people have some preconceived notions about the department, but I think just take a semester or two just to see what your department is like and how much you like the subjects, because you never know, you might end up liking your department. So also the grading patterns and the courses when it comes to your department courses might be a lot different than what you studied in your first year or what you studied in JEE. So since you will be dealing with many new courses, it's new courses, new professors, new pattern of teaching. it might take some time to get accustomed. So having just more courses to focus on will be distracting for you. The second reason being you don't actually have as much experience with overloading yourself. So just take some time to know your boundaries, how many courses you can take. So increase the number of additionals one by one. In MNC curriculum, there is no blank area to choose breadth, electives, or HSS. In MNC curriculum, it's sometime there is a breadth somewhere. At least I know my friends have taken a breadth. I'm not sure in where it will be, and you'll have to see your new curriculum once the full curriculum is updated. Arunendra, in my curriculum, it's written HSS breadth 1, then I can take HSS and breadth both, or only HSS. You can take only HSS. So in case when it's written like that, so since there are basically 3 kinds of breadth, so the numbering is will be going overall for the breadths, and the type of breadth would be HSS. So you can take only HSS breadth. Actually, the curriculum pages are not opening on IIT KGP website. So the reason is that the curriculum is undergoing a lot of revamp. So as far as I know, the revamp is for the good. So hopefully you'll have more opportunities and better courses and more sort of structured courses in the future. But that's the reason the curriculum pages are not opening. So once the new syllabus gets finalized, I think the pages will start reopening. In my HSS list for subjects, there are no subjects allotted. So when there are no subjects given, so no slots are given. So whatever the list I showed you for the breadths, that was for the last semester. Not many slots are given for the current courses, because first the central timetable that I showed you, that was the page with all that weird table and slots. So first, that page has not been updated. That timetable has not been updated, and that updating that is necessary. The secondary. Okay. So okay. Sorry, I lost track of what I was saying. So yeah, since the curriculum is being updated, it's not available. So yeah, for the slots, since the timetable is not updated, slots are not available, but you'll see the slots eventually. For some subjects, you will not see a slot till very late, and this might be basically of 2 reasons. First, the professor concerned have not confirmed in which slot they'll be taking. The second reason could be there are some subjects, mostly very advanced subjects, which are not actually scheduled in the normal slots. For example, this course on my friend took last semester, it was held beyond 6 p.m. because these courses are actually very advanced, very specialized, and mostly interdisciplinary. So many people from many different departments would be taking, and there are numerous slot clashes, and the pool of people are very interested but very diverse. So sometimes these courses are held outside of scheduled class hours, so no such slot is allotted to them. So do we apply for electives and additionals along with subject registration of their subjects? Yes, that is correct. A specific additional can only be taken in any semester or only a fixed semester. So as long as a subject is being offered in a semester, you can take it. It's not necessary to take a particular additional in any particular semester. So if it is written breadth subjects, it's probably professional or IT breadth. How to know about the prerequisite? I think if you just Google the course number, or if you see the website of the professor who is taking the course, and then you go to course curriculum, then I think you can see that. I think I'll just give a demo of that. Can we take additionals during the semester? No, you cannot take additionals during the semester. You have to take it only when the subject registration is done. So once the subject registration is done, you have the option to drop additionals till mid-semester. Since for the last 2 semesters, due to this cumulative evaluations, continuous evaluation scheme, no mid-semester exams are being done. So a specified date is circulated to everyone by the dean. before the registration. So I'll think that's all questions for now. So I'll just share my screen again. I think there is this professor who has, he has this, Animesh Mukherjee from CSE department. He has this website, so you can see there is a course curriculum, and suppose there is this course AI and ethics. Then in that course you can see they have given course rule, marks revision, and I don't think they have mentioned any prerequisite, but if there were any prerequisites for the course, they might have been mentioned similarly. Another way is to see prerequisite on this page, course content pages. Okay, I'll see if I can open this through my curriculum. Okay, for example, I'll just, so if I have opened this curriculum, you can see prerequisites are mentioned. This particular course, I think it's probability and statistics. So if a prerequisite, enforced prerequisite is there, generally it is mentioned through something like this. And I think certain courses don't have any prerequisites, so you can see prerequisites, none. Okay, I think that is basically for courses. Now we come to minor and micro specializations. Okay, one thing I forgot is microcredit registrations. So microcredit are basically courses that are mostly for one credit. They don't run throughout the semester. They will be running once the semester is over or in between the semester. So you can see here it's microcredit registration. So I think some firsts even opted for these courses, but yeah, these three microcredit courses run when the spring semester was over, and I think they had classes 1 hour a day. I also took a course in my second semester when things were offline, and that time the microcredit course ran over Friday evening, Saturday, and Sunday morning. So these courses are just for 1 credits. They are generally taken as additional. I don't know if you can take it as breadth course or elective course. That is up to your faculty advisor. But since these courses generally start in the middle of a semester, and they don't have if you take them as breadth or elective, you might have problem in meeting the minimum credits, that minimum total credits that you need to clear for a degree. So it's better just to take them as additionals. Okay, so now the question would be on minor and micro specialization. So this you can see is the minor curricula, and similarly I'll open micro specialization curricula. Specialize. Okay, so in the minor curricula, okay, so I'll just move to CSE since that's most popular. So in this case, the semester, you see that basically it states what all courses you need to take. I think this is pretty clear. So the semester column that is written here is mostly useless for you. It doesn't matter in which semester you take. And I've seen numerous people get awarded minor without following the order of semester that it's written. So this column is completely useless for the purposes of taking a minor. It just states in which semester the CSE people take these electives. Okay, so it mentions so some prerequisites are mentioned here for algorithms. It states the prerequisite of PDS. Similarly, for computer architecture and operating system, the prerequisites are stated. And for elective list, I think you can just see CSE electives, IIT KGP, and I think you should come across this page that has electives for UG and PG. You can basically take any elective course from this list. as far as I know. Again, if you want to do a minor in, say, mathematics, then they have mentioned 3 groups, and you need to take 5 theory subjects, 2 lab subjects, and at least 1 subject from each group. So also for a minor, there is this requirement that you have at least 3 courses that count for a minor have to be additionals. I don't know where it's written, but it's written somewhere. So for, say you want to do a maths minor, you can take probability and statistics, linear algebra, real analysis from this group. You can take operational research laboratory from group B. From group C, you can take algorithms and its lab, and you'll be done with the minor. So minor works like this. And yeah, for choosing the subjects of minor, in case of open electives, they'll appear on your elective list, but or you can even take them as additionals. And how to see if the slots are available, I think I have covered that before. So similarly for micro specialization, so one thing to note is micro specialization generally have, as they have mentioned, there are 3 components. So one thing to mention is that you need to mandatorily take the component 1 before you take component 2 and 3. So component 2 and 3 can be taken in any order, but component 1 has to be necessarily taken before you take any other component. Okay, I think that clears it. So for example, if you want to take, I think the one of the popular, just to add to this, there is this micro specialization that you'll see, business analytics. This is not available for UG students. It's only available for MBA students and Vinod Gupta School of Management. Other than that, there is this entrepreneurship and innovation micro specialization that's very popular, and that's easy to complete because the required courses are available in both semesters. Another course on artificial intelligence and applications is this micro specialization is also easy to complete, since these courses are available in both semesters, and also since they get easily added to your elective list. So I'll just move to this entrepreneurship color. So yeah, here you can see the prerequisite courses is foundation of entrepreneurship. So if you are interested in doing this micro specialization, get this course done as soon as you can. Also for micro specialization, when you register for a micro specialization, the courses related to your micro specialization will be getting added in all the breadth lists. So there are some people who do not want to take the prescribed breadth for any reason. And if your CG is greater than 7.5, I believe, you can register. You can register for micro specialization if your CGPA is 7, and for having that active, your CGPA needs to exceed 7.5. So if you want more choice available, you can register for micro specialization, and the courses, corresponding courses will get added to your breadth list. So just to reiterate, take the mandatory component first, otherwise you'll have problem in getting the degree approved. Okay, one other thing to add that some people have asked me before, in UG section you'll see registration for a minor course, registration for minor, registration for some micro specialization would be or somewhere. These sections are useless for you unless you are in final semester. For registering for micro specialization, you can register it anytime, once from your, I think, 3rd semester onwards. So in this column, for now you can not see, but once the registration opens, you'll see some tabs here below this, and one of the tabs would be on how to register for micro specialization. As for minor, you can register for minor only while registering for your 5th semester. So when you are registering for the 5th semester using this 1.7, you will see an option at the bottom to register for a minor. In my case, you can see that I have registered for a minor in mathematics and computing, and I have 2 active micro specialization, artificial intelligence and applications, optimization theory and applications. So you can register for as many micro specializations as you can, but you can only register for 1 minor. So as for the question, is it possible to do 2 minors? So only one person in the history of KGP did 2 minors, and he graduated last year. But even in that case, the thing you have to do is that you can only register for one minor. You will have to simultaneously do the courses for both minors, and then when you are in final year, you have to do some extra formalities to get those approved. Okay, I think that is all I want to share. So we can have some questions, or we can move on to the question that Aditri has planned.
Please raise your hand if you have any questions regarding minors. I think Rakshit has another question in the chat.
Okay, so some questions are in the chat. So you have for props stats as a depth, it will count towards your minor subjects. I think that is one of the reasons mathematics minor is taken by many people, because it is somewhat easy to take, since some subjects like prop sets are already covered. So for minor, you can register in any semester, but you can register only in 5th semester, but you can take the subjects that will be counting for a minor in any semester. You can register for micro specialization in any semester. And Mayank, yes, you can start taking courses for minor from your 3rd semester onwards. For example, I took one course in my 3rd semester and one course in my 4th semester, that is counting for my minor. Okay, I think Prabal has a question.
Yeah, Prabal. You can unmute and ask, Prabal.
Hello?
Yeah, you're audible.
So I just wanted to ask that is this meeting recorded, so that
Yeah, it's being recorded. Yeah.
So how can we access it?
You will be informed on that later on.
Okay, thank you.
Srijan, if you have any question, you can ask now.
Yeah, so for the minor part, like you said that we can take courses in 3rd and 4th semester. So like for the course, for the subjects that we take for the minor, so are they going to fill the breadth elective slot, or it's a separate slot altogether?
Okay, basically there are, I think, 10 or 11 types of slots that are available, but usually you have only subjects covering around 5 to 6 of those slots. So all the other slots are free. In those free slots, if you have any available course that counts for a minor and that gets approved for you, you can take that course as an additional. I don't think anyone has electives in their 3rd semester, because that's usually to build a foundation for a department.
Yeah, so for like a minor thing, like if I'm wanting to choose any subject in the 3rd semester, so I cannot take it, right?
You can take the subject; it will count towards your minor. It's just on your this academic transcript. It won't appear that you have registered for a minor. Whatever subject you take will be just an additional course.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so for applying for minor, IIT KJP does not have any restriction on how many people can apply for one minor, and it does not have a CG criteria for minor. That for registering a minor, that varies for department from department. I think IIT Kanpur has this CG cutoff for applying to minor. For IIT KJP, the only cutoff is that at the time of registering for a 5th semester, you need to have a CGPA of 7.5, and then onwards, either your CGPA or your SGPA has to be above 8 for continuing that minor. And any number of people can register for any number of minors. I think the most popular minor is in CSE, followed by MNC and economics. But that said, it has been often observed that the courses in especially CSE and especially those courses that are required for minor, they can sometimes have high CGPA cutoffs. So a CGPA of 8.0 may not be sufficient to complete the minor if you cannot get the courses approved. Is minor a separate course, or it's just do all the required breadth courses and you get a minor certificate? So minor is not a separate course. If you have registered for a minor, it does not imply that you will get all those courses completed. It's just that when you register for a minor in your further electives, open elective list, this certain minor subjects for minor, they automatically get added. That is the only advantage of registering for a minor. Otherwise, a minor is basically you are on your own doing some additional subjects from some prescribed list, and if you have done all the courses, then in your final semester you can put a request for minor.
Yeah, if you have any question, you can ask Mohammed Shahir. I'm sorry if I
Hello,
mispronounced your name. Yeah, you can ask your question.
am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yeah, I wanted to ask that only CGPA should be above 8 or CGPA and SGPA both should be above 8 to continue minor.
Either of them. Or if you only have one of them above it, then that would also do. For example, suppose you have a CGPA of 8.5, but unfortunately you got an SGPA of 7.5, then the minor will stay active. And also in the reverse case, if you have a CGPA of 7.5 but an SGPA of 8.5, then also the minor will stay active. And Rudravati, yes, you can take additions for a minor before registering.
Shashi, if you have any question, please ask. Shashi Ranjit.
Yes, yes. So I wanted to ask, like, if I take some course in the third semester, which I want to try and learn that, but for the minor course, for minor I take some other type of course. The course which I took in the third semester was not in the minor list. So will there be any problem? Like,
No. Okay, so I'll just give you example of my own. I am from Department of HSS. I'm doing a minor in mathematics and computing. In my third semester, before registering for a minor, I took a course on design and analysis of algorithms. In my fourth semester, I took a course on discrete mathematics, and I already had probability and statistics course in my curriculum. I think for your batch, it has been shifted for HSS people. It has been shifted to autumn semester. In my fifth semester, I took additional course of design and analysis algorithms in lab. I also took an additional course that was called stochastic processes in finance. So stochastic processes in finance does not count for minor, but I could still take it as additional. In my fifth semester, I took a course on operation research theory. I also took a course from CSE on machine learning. So machine learning is not even from the department I'm taking a minor in, but as an additional, I could still take it, provided my CGPA was above the cutoff CGPA. Other than that, in my seventh semester, I took the course on linear algebra that would count for my minor, and I also took a course from AI Center on artificial intelligence foundations and applications. At that point of time, the micro specialization in AI was not introduced, so I just took it because मेरा मन किया. Again, in my eighth semester, I took courses from CSE, MNC, and AI Center. So yeah, I took 3 additionals, which is I do not recommend unless you have a particularly light semester, because for me,
for the micro. So for the micro specialization, how many courses do we need to complete? Like
4 courses. Mostly 4
Okay.
courses. It might vary from micro specialization to micro specialization, but generally 4 courses.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any notification, Aryan? Aryan, there is no notification given. It's just whatever your advantage is you get, they will automatically get cancelled if your CGPA drops below this. So Arundeep, Arunendra, you can take micro specialization or micro credit both from third semester onwards. Are minor subjects different? Yes, minor subjects are different. Minor subjects are those subjects that are given in the minor curricular list. Is there any CG criteria in microcredit specialization? So for registering for the micro specialization, your CGPA needs to be 7.0, and for continuing it, your CGPA or SGPA needs to be above 7.5. And as for the courses themselves, I don't think many courses have a CGPA cutoff, but if they do, that is up to the professor, and that can easily change from semester to semester.
Right, so I think we can proceed with the FAQs. Vanshika, please share your screen.
Okay, so Ashutosh, I would like to repeat that there is no cutoff for registering for mm, minor except for the 7.5 and 8 thing. The only cutoffs are there for registering for individual courses. So I think algorithms one, that is a mandatory course for minor in CSE. I think the cutoff either went 8.7 or 9.1, either for I think for algorithms one last semester. So the cutoff can increase semester to semester. So it's I actually don't know what will be in your time because it depends on the number of people who register. Like those of additional twos, grade of minor twos. So the grades of minor courses. So if you take any course that counts for minor as your breadth or elective, then that grade gets counted in your CGPA. If you take a course for minor as an additional, then it does not count as in your main CGPA. You have a section of additional CGPA. If you want how the CGPA thing works, I can give a demo of that once the whole section ends, because I do not want that screen to be on record. At least for my case, I do not want my CG to be broadcasted everywhere. So which of these we can choose in the third semester? So I think I have covered. You can take any addition from the third semester onwards. So whatever courses gets approved for you, you can take it from third semester onwards. I think in case of CSE minor, you can only take the electives in autumn semester, because most of the other courses are only available in spring semester. Otherwise, I think there are sufficient semester courses that you can take as additional in your third semester. Also, Akash, since you joined late, Vanshika, you can move. So I was just addressing the questions in the chat. Akash, since you joined late, the recording, it will be saved and you can get in touch with Aditri for on how you can view the recording. But I think if you are a part of this MS Teams, the recording will be saved in this MS Teams itself. So are there any prerequisites to apply for any of those? What roles does do CGP and professor's discretion play? I think it has been covered. Prerequisites are dependent, vary from course to course. CGPA and professor's discretion play a role in getting your course approved. So for some courses, professors only approve the courses based on CGPA. For some courses, the approval is a mixture of first come, first serve. For certain courses, the approval CGPA might vary from department to department. And for certain courses, a certain department students might be preferred. So these factors may affect the professor's discretion. We can move on to the next question. So if anyone has any question, you can raise your hand. What is the procedure and deadline to apply for them? The only deadline that you have to keep in mind is the semester registration, which starts from August 2nd. And since the registration is not started, I cannot give a demo of the procedure. But if you go to student academic activities, you'll see a subject registration tab. I think you have registered for subjects even in your first and second semester. So the procedure is same, just there will be now multiple sections that were earlier not available to you. Now they'll be available to you. Somewhat, can a course be counted towards both micro and minor? Yes, that can be counted. For example, if you do a minor in mathematics and computing and a micro specialization in optimization theory and applications, the courses on operation research and its laboratory can count as both minor and micro specialization. Yeah, so the deadline to apply would be the deadline for the semester registration. Also for certain courses, especially popular courses, I think that includes courses on machine learning, deep learning, and often could, and I think for the last 2 semesters, it includes a lot of courses from CSE, and I think even from this Vinod Gupta School of Management or RMSOE. I think the professors have the prerequisite for applying for this course little earlier than the registration deadline for the subjects. So the best way to find this out is just to open the website of the professor and go to where they have listed the course requirements, and if there is any deadline, they would share it on the course page. Okay, we can move on to the next question. How to read timetable on ERP effectively? So again, I think I covered that, but if someone has any question, they can raise their hands. I'll move on to interdisciplinary courses later.
Yeah, so like, does anyone have any question with respect to reading the timetable specifically? I guess no, so yeah, we can proceed.
So how to choose subjects or courses? Should we prioritize lesser course load, future prospects, or your interests? So I think this is completely dependent on you. I know many people who prioritize courses which have lesser load. For example, you might be, for example, suppose you are in CSE. For CSE, their third semester is very loaded, and you have an HSS breadth in your in CSE third semester. At least that was the case in the old curricula. So a lot of people prioritized courses which did not take a lot of effort, because again they did not have a lot of time to devote to many subjects. And some people do take subject for future prospects. For example, this is particularly important if you aim to go for higher studies. So if you want to go for higher studies, I recommend just check the course websites of whatever universities and courses you want to get enrolled in. And they often have course requirements listed. For example, if someone wants to do master's or PhD in economics, often the course requirements includes courses like linear algebra and real analysis, which since they're not in my curriculum, I'll need to take them as additional. So that if that might be, if you want to do, I think in certain finance courses also they prefer having courses on differential equations or numerical analysis. Maybe even I don't know for real analysis, but I think they like seeing such courses on a transcript. So if you want to go for such a course, then you might also want to see what courses you can take. And yeah, if you have an interest in taking that course, it's always up to you to take an additional, but don't overload yourself with additionals. So like I did take a lot of additionals in a semester, but only because the total credits for that semester were low for me, and I thought I would be able to handle them. But just take as many subjects as you can do. A lot of people with good CGPA don't ever take additionals, and that's also completely fine. Taking additionals is not mandatory. Okay, I think we can move on to next question. Is it necessary to apply for? No, it is not necessary for applying for additional courses. They are called additional for a reason, because they are additional to the things you need to do. They are not mandatory in any sense. It's completely up to you to apply, and completely up to you to not apply. And if you have a CGPA below 7.5, you cannot apply for additional courses, but even in that case, you can apply for internships and placements. So it's not mandatory to apply for additional courses. So some people do apply for additional courses just to write on their CV, but in that case, your mileage will vary because you need to, it's a lot of factors. You need to show that you have some backing experience, you know that subject, and just taking a subject for the sake of writing on a CV does not actually work out for most people. On the other hand, just taking a subject because you need to apply for higher studies might be somewhat necessary, because otherwise your application might not get given the due attention. Okay, next question. Is it possible to choose breadth not given department specific? So you can choose that, but it depends on your faculty advisor. So you can talk with your faculty advisor. If they approve, if they add a subject to your breadth list, then you can take. Otherwise, it's not possible. Next question. Where can I think I covered it. I showed you how you can see the minor curricula in ERP, and it's not necessary to take a course for minor in third semester. I know some people who, at least in HSS 5-year courses, if you were doing a minor in mathematics, it was possible to start from third year and still complete the minor. So, but I think for minor in CSE, the slots, since there are a lot of mandatory courses and the slot doesn't work, so it's recommended to start from the third semester, but it's not necessary to start from the third semester. Next question on interdisciplinary courses. So, okay, before coming to this, I think there are some questions in the chat. I would cover that. Okay, I think Nikhil has a course. If you weren't able to complete a minor, the subjects that you took will still appear as additional courses on your transcript. It's just that on the final degree name that you see, the minor won't be mentioned. Do grades in minor courses matter? I think for getting a minor, the cumulative grade point of all the courses you took for a minor needs to be above 6.0. But other than that, there is no such criteria for getting the grades. Will an F grade for EA? I don't think the F grade for EA should restrict you from taking a minor or micro, because I think I know someone who had a F grade in EA in fourth semester, registered for a minor. But I think you'll still need to clear that grade before you graduate, so that you can get a degree. Also, just clear the F grade in EA as fast as possible, because there have been some people in KGP who had to stay an additional semester just to complete the F, just to clear the F in EA. Can you repeat the part where we need to need approval? So, Devik, when you are applying for your registration on 2nd August. So after 2nd August, if you have any questions to the registration, you can reach out to me. But when you are applying for registration after 2nd August, you will see there will be a column for applying for additional courses. There is something written like LOV. I do not know the full form, but when there is an icon below it, if you click on that icon, it shows you additional courses that you can take. And for an additional courses, you will have a text box where you can state your reason for wanting to take that course, and then you can send an request for approval through ERP itself. You do not need to mail or anything. The process is all through ERP. Can we complete minor courses in 5th year if any of them is less? Of course, you can complete it anytime before getting a degree. If someone takes any courses additional or minor in 3rd semester, then when will he do the registration in 5th semester for minor? Yes, if for example, in my own case, I took a course in 3rd semester and one in 4th semester, and I registered for minor in 5th semester. So the courses in 4th and 5th semester do count for my minor. So, Prithvi, if say someone wants to take an additional in probability and statistics, then we have to check in which semester that course is offered, or we can take that additional in any semester. So you'll need to check in which semester that course is offered. I think in the new curricula, hopefully the course will be offered in both semesters, specifically for probability and statistics. But some courses are only offered in one semester, and if the course is not offered, you cannot actually take the course. Is the minor curricula also being revamped this year? So I think to an extent the minor curricula will be revamped, because some of the subject names are changing, subject requirements are changing. So somewhat it will be revamped, but mostly it will remain similar. For example, in case of CSC, algorithms will always remain this requirement. One or two electives will also remain a requirement. So that is not changing. In case of economics minor, the economics course or the microeconomics or macroeconomics courses, they will they will always stay. So I don't think the change in curriculum is that would matter that much for at least your third semester. Can we apply for breadths or electives from fifth semester onwards? So you can only apply for breadths or electives in. Actually, I think the course, your course will be changing, so you might be able to apply in many semesters. Although I'm not sure how the new curriculum would work, so I would not comment on that. But as per the old curriculum, you could only apply for them in the semesters they were mentioned in your curricula. So yes, breadths are compulsory and they are mentioned in your curricula when they are compulsory. I think since I think you will have to see. I don't know if the new curricula is available on your ERP, but you will have to refer to some things in the new curricula because the old curricula is not available for all the semesters. In which semester do we need to go? You can complete the algo course in any spring semester. Okay, so for interdisciplinary courses, there are basically, I think, as of now, there are only 3 courses: entrepreneurship engineering, financial engineering, and this artificial intelligence. So most people I know who opt for interdisciplinary courses do so because they are certain they want to go for non-core, and they don't want to take they want to take other courses rather than the department courses. The procedure is changing for your batch, so I will not comment on that. I think you will receive a notification about the procedure next year, since from the news that I have is that for your batch the registration for courses in entrepreneurship engineering and financial engineering will be available after your this 4th semester, and for artificial intelligence it will be available in 6th semester. So the exact procedure, the application would be something like what you did for DEPSI, would be similar to that. And as for prospects, again for these prospects, what you make out of it. So I think in financial engineering, most people who opted for that were actually interested in finance, and they usually saw good performance in internships and placements. Also, since these courses are often given to those with high CGPA, I think financial engineering is usually given for CGPA above 8. So since these people usually have a high CGPA, they tend to, on average, perform better. Otherwise, the prospects, for example, an AI, interdisciplinary course might be helpful if you want to go further in that field. But again, it's also possible you register for that and don't actually derive anything tangible, not tangible exactly, anything that is useful to you. So prospects are up to you on what you make out of these courses. So next question. Okay, so we are done, and if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, right. If you have any other question, even if it's specific to your department or anything of that nature, you can raise your hand and we'll enable your mic. Right, Prithvi Raj, you can ask your question now.
Yeah, so like I wanted to ask, since the curriculum is not updated yet, I don't know if probability and statistics will be a depth courses in any of my future semesters. So like, does this ERP system work like it will automatically not be available in my additional list if it is a depth course for me in the future, or do I have to check it?
I believe you'll have to check it. I actually don't exactly remember, because I think you'll have to check it. I'm not sure if it's automatically updated or not because things get changed in ERP every semester. But I hope that the new curriculum will be available before this, before your registration starts.
Okay, thank you.
Hopefully, but don't take my word on it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Right. Any more questions? Please feel free to ask any questions since you might not get such an opportunity later.
Okay, also side to this discussion, if you are sending me a friend request, as of now I'm not accepting a lot of friend requests, so I'll only accept a friend request in case you send me a personalized message, because I had something similar session last year and I saw a lot of follow-up questions in my messages, and I think I have some things going on in my life right now. So I'll take some time on getting back to you. And as for friend requests, I will probably not accept any friend request unless it's followed by a message. What about QEDM people? It came that QEDM. Yeah, QEDM program is going to change, and I think. But whatever the change is going to take, it will not it should not affect your batch that much, hopefully, but yeah, probably your department will give more information about that. Whatever information I have about QEDM is from what Midrul Agarwal shared and what was there on the QEDM Facebook page, so I also don't know anything more. Okay, so when ERP allots your bread choices, at least as of last semester, it did not see if it clashes with your depth courses or not. So, but if the bread you are allotted clashes with your existing courses, you cannot register. And then you have to apply approval for a new bread course, and then once that's approved, then you need to apply. So when you are filling the choices for breads, do take you will have to take care of it yourself that it does not clash with any of your courses. Okay, I think okay, if someone has any question, I would prefer a lot if you address it right now instead of messaging me separately. Uh, is it also ensure that exams don't clash? So I think, as far as I remember, the exam schedule is based on the slot letters. So if your slots do not clash, then the exam should not be clashing. And if that happens, then it's unfortunately a very rare case. So it should not clash, at least for the exams that come under central timetable. Some exam subjects come under department timetable, but in that case, for department timetable, you can contact your department and see if that gets changed.
Arunendra, you can ask your question.
Yeah, like for my department, ocean engineering and naval architecture, like as per the old curriculum, economics was like depth course in fourth semester or I guess third semester. But now, like for new curriculum, I can see it is like as a HSS bread. So if I will take it as HSS bread economics, then may it happen that in future for semester fourth it will be as depth economics. Then
Then it will
how
be
to
a
do like
problem. then it will be a problem. But I sincerely hope that you can see the course curriculum at least for both third and fourth semester before it comes the time for registration. Otherwise, if you are unsure, you can drop an email to your faculty advisor just to confirm if economics will be in your curriculum in your fourth semester. To confirm, you can drop an email to your faculty advisor, because if you you cannot actually take a same course in as two mandatory courses, so you will have some problem. I
So,
actually
like,
don't
if I would
know
like to know, yeah, like, how can I know about the fourth semester's courses? Like, will it be available in ERP, or I have to ask to my faculty advisor?
So I think it should be available in ERP from before 2nd August. But if by 3rd August it's not available in ERP, then you can send an email to your faculty advisor.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I think there is a question between breadth and additionals. So breadth and breadth. So elective courses are basically courses from your department. Breadth courses, you can think of it as elective courses from certain specified other departments. Both breadth and elective courses are mandatory for completing your degree. Additional courses are any course that you take on top of the required courses for a degree. Additional courses are not mandatory courses.
The minor courses count for additional courses, right? Like the minor subjects will count.
Additional courses count for minor courses.
Okay, okay, yeah.
Any more questions?
Okay. Okay, I received a question on my personal chat. I don't recommend it, but I'll just cover it in this meeting also. So, if most people, a lot of people don't know coding before coming to KGP. I didn't know coding before my first semester. So, if you want to learn coding, there are a lot of resources. I think just learn algorithms, learn coding. I think there are courses from Stanford or Princeton. I think Tim Rafkadon has some very good courses on algorithms. Otherwise, there is course from MIT OCW, or just for learning coding. There are a lot of courses online. So if you just search them, you will eventually come to certain courses. As for learning AI and ML, the most popular course is machine learning on Coursera. If you have done that, you can follow up with deep learning specialization also by Andrew Ng. I think machine learning course is offered by Stanford University, whereas deep learning is offered by deeplearning.ai. So you can follow up that course, machine learning with deep learning specialization. If you have done that, you can follow up with that natural language processing. But yeah, it's up to you.
Yeah, I think there are 2 or 3 questions in the chat.
Okay, so should I have prior knowledge on applying for course? So I think just see the course curriculum, the professor's page, or at the most, if you are very uncertain, I don't think you should be opting for such a course in your second year anyway. But in very rare cases, you can also email to the professor if you have the prerequisite knowledge. So okay, the one time I emailed the professor for clarification was that because I did not have the specified prerequisite. The specified prerequisite was financial management course in VG I had taken a financial management course in my own department, and for that purpose, since the course curricula is same, I have the prerequisite knowledge, but just it was not showing up in ERP. So then I had to email the professor to ask if that would count as a prerequisite. Otherwise, if there are any specified prerequisite, it should be mentioned on the syllabus page or course curricula page. And otherwise, yeah, I think these are the main 2 areas. And I think, and sometimes some things are evident for the course name itself. For example, if you are taking a course on, say, advanced graph theory, then you probably need to have an idea of basic graph theory. Okay, is it better to pursue a minor in mathematics rather than economics? Because some of the economics courses can be studied from other sources as well. Minor is personally very much up to you to apply for. It depends on your own goals. So yes, economics courses can be studied from other sources, but I feel it's easier to score in economics courses rather than maths courses. That might be something to keep in mind. And even in mathematics courses, you can study anything from NPTEL. So it's not that mathematics courses cannot be studied from other sources. And I actually think in economics, the course on econometrics 1 is very good. And I think I personally found it very useful for all data analysis stuff and data analyst roles. But again, that's my personal opinion. So yeah, what minor you choose, it's basically on what you like, what you want in life, what are your future goals, etc. What is the meaning of breadth elective 1? So okay, I think it means that you can take a breadth from the last list from okay, Surendra, I just see your department. So your department is mathematics. I think you can basically take any course from any department in this slot. But since it's a new curriculum, I haven't confirmed with anyone. I'm not sure. But once the choice filling for breadth courses open, you'll be able to see what courses you can opt for in this slot. You said taking additionals may overload us on heavy sims, but how are we supposed to know which sims are heavy and which sims are additionals? And which due to new curricula being different. So while the curricula is different, it has not been totally revamped. For example, at least what my department professors have told, it's mostly the revamping is basically done in terms of which courses were offered in which semester. So for example, there was one course that was offered in the final semester, and some professors thought that it would make a better course for fifth semester. So that kind of revamping is done. I think for HSS, the probability and statistics course is moved from fourth semester to third semester. So the course content is same, but if you do approach your seniors with the new curriculum, they might be able to tell you how the curriculums are. Other than that, once you have, after your third semester, once you have an idea of your department courses, you can also be able to judge them. For example, I know if I have more department courses than maths courses, then that is an easy semester. Another thing would be how many credits do I have to compulsorily take in that semester. For example, in my fourth semester, I only had to mandatorily take 19 credits. So that semester would be easier for me compared to a semester where I had to mandatorily take 23 credits. So these are some of the factors that go on deciding how a semester could be heavy. But again, I think if you talk to your department seniors, that should clear your doubts. And I think if you are in physics, then I think there are some nice seniors in physics. You can talk to them, but I think physics is somewhat loaded. But again, how much a department is loaded is actually up to you. Is extra credit registration for nothing but registering for additionals? Okay, so just to clarify that, extra credit registration is not for additionals. Extra credit registration is necessary for you only if you belong to an academically weak category, because in that case you cannot register for even the number of credits that you have to take. So in that case, sometimes you might need to use the extra credit registration. So yeah, breadth elective, since I'm seeing it for the first time, I don't know what it is, and hopefully you'll, once the breadth choice list is open, you'll see what the subjects you can take. In 2021, micro registration will only be active by after subject registration in third sem. Yes, that is true. Micro specialization registration actually remains active for most part of the semester, but I think since ERP is getting updated at the moment, the registration portal is down. Is prerequisite a hard and fast thing or just an advice type of thing? So that depends on the courses. For some courses, it's just an advice. For some courses, it's an hard and fast thing that if you have not done a course, you cannot even register on the ERP. For example, what I saw is this say operation research laboratory from our mathematics department. For that, it has a hard and fast rule that you need to have taken operation research in mathematics department. Operation research is also offered by industrial department, but that would not count in for as a prerequisite for operation research lab. So that prerequisite is hard and fast rule, and unless you have the prerequisite, you cannot even register for the course on ERP. By when will we have to apply for microcredit registration? So the microcredit courses, these one credit courses, they change every semester to semester which courses are offered, and often these courses are done in industry collaboration. So whenever the collaboration, these things are worked out, they will be shown in your ERP. So it's not necessary that a particular course will be offered at some point of time. So I cannot actually tell you when to register for that because they might be coming or happening anytime. Any more questions? Okay, if there, I think we can wait for a minute or two. If there are no more questions, then we can end this session.
Yeah. So I guess nobody has any questions.
Okay, I received the question on personal chat. So again, request if you can ask the question here, please do so here instead of messaging me because I am not replying very fast to any messages unless like you are a person I have known for 2 or 3 years. Okay, so can we get your contact information for regarding these courses? So I think my Facebook profile, you can always message me on Messenger. I am probably one of those rare people who use Messenger more than I use WhatsApp. So you can always message me on Messenger, and I think if you just search Pankuri Saxena IIT KGP, there as far as I know, there is only one Pankuri Saxena in IIT KGP. So my Facebook profile should be easy to be found. Should be easy to find. Otherwise, Aditri contacted me for organizing this session, so you can always get my contact from her. Okay. Yeah. I think I have a question. I'll just see if that person is still here when we have to choose the electives. So, okay, earlier choosing the electives could only be done in the semester when the electives were prescribed. But I think now you have some flexibility in when you can choose your electives. But I am not sure. I'm not sure how that will work out for your batch or future batches, so I would not comment on that.
Yeah,
Yes.
somewhat. Yeah.
Yes, in certain courses, prerequisite course and certain course can be taken together. For example, operation research and its lab, they both can be taken together. That's not a problem. But again, it might depend from course to course. So some might even have a hard prerequisite that you need to have covered the course.
Cool. So I think we can wrap up now.
Yeah, hopefully this session was useful.
It definitely was. We thank you. Like, thank you so much for taking our time and helping all of us. All right. So I'll be ending the meeting. Thank you everyone for joining.
Okay, Aditri, one thing I would like to add, if
Yeah.
anyone of you has more questions, I think since this team will be open, so maybe you can even post the questions in this team and like tag me there, and I'll try to get back to you on here itself.
Yeah, we'll post it on the logistics channel. Maybe we can create another channel for that or something. We'll plan
Yeah,
this regarding.
yeah, I think it'll be useful because some of the questions are actually something a lot of people wanted to know, so it'll just save me the trouble of copy pasting.
Okay. So you're right with that. I'll just end the meeting.